All right, welcome. So we're going to be creating a 80s style synth HTML and CSS resume with CSS animation, no JavaScript. This is our output, how it's going to look. We have some hover states. Our video is not working right now because it doesn't work when you are in VS Code using the live extension, but our video will work on Replit because we're going to be creating this on Replit. All right, so there's different hover states. That's how it's going to look. Let's get started. So first thing you want to do is go to your Replit. You want to create your Replit. You want to select HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and call this your HTML resume synth. Create Replit. All right, we are not going to use this script tag, so we could delete this, the body, and we want to start clean. All right, so first thing, right, we have our doc type declaration, we have our HTML root element, we have our head, and we have our body. So in our head, we have this meta character set UTF-8 encoding, we have the viewport, width, device width, all standard stuff, right? So let's change our Replit to resume, and let me zoom in here so you can see better. So change our Replit to resume. We have our link to our style sheet. We're going to be having two style sheets. One when we finish, so you can update your theme. So you could change the theme of this to different colors, and you could change the background and have it whatever, but the layout will be the same. So let's create a new one. So I put my cursor at the end of line 8. I press Control C and then Control V to paste. So I copy and paste. I do it again. I press my cursor at the end of line 8, Control C, and then I just do Control V and it pastes. So I'm going to call this one style theme.css. All right, and I'll leave it as is. All right, moving on. So in the body, we want to start off with some semantic elements. The semantic element that we're going to be creating is our main elements. So our main semantic element is where we're going to have our whole HTML resume. So everything you see here is going to be inside our main. So let's start with that. Let's give this a class. So we're gonna do all the HTML first, and then we're gonna move on to the CSS. While we're doing the HTML, we're gonna be adding classes. So let's start with main, add a class of resume because it's gonna be our resume, and then I just tab in twice so I can be nested inside main, and I'm gonna do a section, right angle bracket. I have my section tag. And then my section, I'm going to give it a class of resume underscore left because I have a left side and I have a right side. So in here in my section, I'm going to do a header. And in my header, I'm going to create a div. And this div is going to contain my profile image. So this is going to have a class of resume underscore profile. All right, so we have resume, resume left, resume profile, and in here we want to put our image. So you notice we're nested already 1, 2, 3 div, 3 elements deep. In here we want to put our image. So img space, this is a self-closing tag, so we can just do / right angle bracket, meaning that it does not contain any content. It's going to have a source. Content text. This is no text. This is an image that is coming from the server from a source. We're not going to do a local image. Even if it was local, we could still do source. So src source, and then I have the URL, and I'll paste it here, the URL for our source. Then we have our image. We have our synth robot dancing guy. All right. Zoom out a little bit. And then let's give this an alt tag. Not alt tag, alt attribute. This alt attribute is going to have a value of profile pic. So our alt attribute is inside our image tag. Right, and so for now, I'm going to open this over here. So we're going to go back and forth to see how it's looking. I'm going to make this really small and zoom in like that. All right, so our all attribute helps screen readers display or read the content. So the screen reader is going to read the content. And then below that, I am going to then just add, finish my header. So I'm going to add an article tag. This article tag, for all intents and purposes, is going to be broken up into a different section. So this article tag is going to be this area right here, the student name. So I'm not using a section tag, although I could use a section tag, but I'm using an article tag. So let's do an article tag, and I'm going to give this a class of resume underscore content, because this is going to be my content. And inside my article, I'm going to have a div, and then my div tag is going to have my H1. Remember, you can only have one H1 per page, and I'm going to put student name there. So resume content, and in my div, I'm going to give this a class of bold. So resume, resume left, resume profile, image, resume content, bold, and has my student name. All right, so moving on, below my div tag, I am going to create a table. This table is going to contain my information. So a table is followed by a TR, which is a table row. My table row has a table header, just like an Excel spreadsheet, it has a header at the top. And this is going to be DOB, which is date of birth. And then below that is going to be my table data. So TD, table data, we're going to do 01 forward slash 01 forward slash 1990. All right, and then we're going to do another table row because we're building out our table row. So table row, table header, and then table header, TH, and then my table header is going to have address. And then my table data, which is the data for this address, is going to have the street, comma, one, comma, city, comma, country, etc. All right, so to save some time, I'm going to add our phone, email, and website. So I'm just going to highlight this, copy this. I highlight from the beginning, the end of TR, all the way to the beginning line of TR, not here, this line. I press copy. I press my cursor in the front, I press enter, and then in order for this to paste correctly, I have to put my cursor all the way back here because it's going to paste that white space that I just copied. So one, do that again. So this is going to be our phone number. We're going to update in a second, our email, and then put this back over here and our website. So now I have address, and then I'm going to change this to phone. We're going to just put our phone random here, the famous 555, 5555, and then we're going to have our email here, and then our email, we can put my email here, victorvidacis@outlook.com, and then we're going to have our website, and then this website is going to be school website for now, FDNY highschool.org, or we can just put whichever website. So I'm going to put https colon forward slash www.google.com for now. Table article. So now we have this article, right? We did this right here, the student name. This is our area right here. We're going to be moving down to our next area. So we're going to do another article tag. And then in this article, I am going to put in the social links. So I'm going to do a div, div. Give this a class of social links. Social links forward slash links. And then we're going to tab in. So I'm going to press tab in to be nested. I'm going to do a anchor tag. An anchor tag is a open and close, and then I'm going to do hyperreference, which is going to be our website. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this link that I have over here. So it's going to be Facebook, your username. And inside my anchor tag, I am going to do a I tag. This I tag is special because this I tag is going to bring in my external fave icons. So we're going to bring that in a minute. So FAB for Facebook, I believe. FA dash Facebook. And this is not a class that I'm going to create. This is a class that I'm going to bring in that I'm going to be using. Um, and then, all right, so Facebook square, let's do this, and let's close this angle bracket. And then I'm going to copy this. Again, do the same thing, 2 and 3. So now I have 3 of these. But I'm going to update this with Twitter. So next one's going to be Twitter. Make sure you put your username if you want to share your Twitter. If you don't want to share your Twitter, do not put your username. All right, and then the fave icons need to change also. So instead of Facebook, the second one should be Twitter. So I'm going to just paste that Twitter. I'm going to paste this LinkedIn over here. LinkedIn. So it's Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. All right. And then let's bring in the fave icons. So in order to bring them in, we need to use a script tag. This script tag should go all the way at the top in your head. So let's put that above our style sheets right over here. And then we make sure we put it over there, and we bring in our fave icons, and we can see them right here. All right. So let's zoom in some more. All right, fave icons is right here in the bottom. All right, so now let's continue with another article tag. So we do a left angle bracket, article. And here we're going to do the download. So we're going to do left angle bracket div, right angle bracket. We're going to do our class of resume underscore download. In here, I'm going to tab in. And then we're going to do an anchor tag. And then this is going to contain our download resume text or our content. And then hyperreference. And then we can https:// to your Google Drive. So you want to download it from Google Drive. You want to share that link. They could click on it and then they could download it, or whatever your Google Drive link is. Or if you want to share it being hosted somewhere else, that's fine. All right, so now let's add our YouTube video. And then our YouTube video, for what do we need a YouTube video? In case you want to show something like a sports highlight, if you want to show a recital, a dance thing, anything that you have you want to show, or you can just put a YouTube video of a song or something to show your character what kind of music you like, a trailer for a movie, something like that. So then we're going to put that here. Our YouTube video is going to be here. So let's do our div. Let's give this a class, a video container. And then this is an embedded link. So this link I just grabbed from YouTube. All right, so how would we grab that YouTube link? So I have a YouTube open here for Synth 80's. And then you want to go where it says share. You want to click embed, this one right here. Click on this one. And then you can put it where to start. You can do whatever you want. Of here with the player controls, you want to turn them off, turn them on. And so we just copy this whole thing, bring that over. This is going to be our iframe, and paste it right here. So we can scroll down, we can see we got it. All right, good. So now let me open up this page so we can see clearly. This is how our resume is looking so far as a YouTube, our resume, our icons, etc. This is how it should be looking so far. All right. So now below our article tag that has our YouTube video, we're going to be adding a new section. So this is our left section, then we're going to be adding our right section. So it should be below section over here. So over here, let's do section, and then let's give this a class of resume underscore write. All right, and then this section has resume underscore write. This is going to be nested also. So our div, inside our div, we're going to have our resume item. So we can say class resume underscore item. In here, we're going to have our H1. So it should be actually not H1. You should only have one H1 per page. So this is going to be our H2. Sorry, H2. And then our H2, we're going to have our profile information, profile info, or bio, I guess we could say. It's our bio. And then in H2, we want to do a class, and we're going to use bold so we can make this text bold. And then below this, we're going to have our p tag, and then I'm just going to copy and paste this random text. Put the cursor here, copy and paste that. Let's see how it looks like that. So far, it's looking pretty good. All right. I'll provide everything that you need to copy and paste. Either I'll send it to you through email, chat, or I'll just have it in this YouTube video description. All right. So now, before we have our div class, our resume item, we're building our classes. We have our p tag for our paragraph tag, our h2. Let's look at our content, how it's looking so far. All right, everything is being built on top of each other because CSS is going to then style this and modify it so then it ends up looking like this. All right, so then this is our section. Inside our section, below our profile, we want to add our education. So let's add our div. Let's give this div a resume item class, resume item class, and then in our resume item class, I tab in and I'm going to add an H2, and then this is going to be, you can have multiple H2, just one H1, and again, that's for screen readers purposes. Education, and then in here, let's do p tag. Let's do 2022 to ongoing, and then we can say front end developer, and then we can say over here our BR, and then that's going to give me a break tag, is going to give me space to go on to the next line, which it should be inside our p tag. So let's put this in here. So let's put this a BR, and then let's put the code program. All right. So now below this, we're going to create another p tag. And then in this p tag, we're going to be 2022 to ongoing, and then this is always going to be ongoing students. All right. And then over here, we're going to do a break tag, and then you should put school here, what school you're a student at. All right. And then that closes our resume item. And then we're going to do another resume item, but this time this resume item is going to be our experience. So class resume underscore item, a tab in, so it could be nested. H2, sorry, not H3. H2 is going to be experience. All right, and then below our experience, we're going to just do the same thing as we did here. So I'm just going to highlight this, copy it, and then put my cursor all the way at the beginning. Paste this so I can have some nicely formatted. So it could be nicely formatted. And then experience, we're going to be 2022 ongoing. We can take this out. We can say lifeguard. And then we can be lifeguard where at New York public pool. All right, and then this could be 20 to 2023. This is online marketing where this was online school program. All right, and you can add more stuff depending on whatever skills you have. All right, so then now let's go down here to skills. So we're gonna create a div class, a div element, and then in our class is gonna be another resume item, so we can style this correctly. And then we're gonna add skills, because if we notice our skills are separated in this blocks that you can see. All right. So then now in our skills, let's do our same thing we did. Actually, not the same thing we did before, but only this header. So let's do a header 2 here. So I tab in H2. My header 2 is going to be skills. And then in my skills, I am going to add a div that's going to contain, this is going to be our container for all our skills. So it's going to be class, and then this is going to be skill underscore content. And now semantically, this is a section, but we're separating left section to right section. So I am going to, instead of use section, I'm going to use article. So article, and this may not be the exact right way since articles are specific for different things, but we can use this here and separate article as if it was a section. So in here, I am going to create a div class, and in my div, I am going to have a class of, let's put this over here. It's going to be a class of skill bar. So skill underscore bar. And then we're going to be working with a span. Remember, a span is an inline element. So it does not, it only takes up the width of what it contains. It does not take up the width of the full page like a block element. And this is going to have a class of skill underscore name. And our skill is going to be HTML5. Right? And then we can keep this in one line actually so it could be cleaner. So we can remove this space. Let's delete the space and let's keep this in one line just like this. So what's going on? All right, make sure you put in the closing forward slash there. All right, so that's our skill, and then that's our skill bar, and then we're going to do our skill level for this. So here is going to be a div, and our div is going to contain our skill level. So we can press enter, we can say our class is going to be skill underscore level. And in here, we're going to do a span tag. Our span tag is going to be the circles. So we're going to have a circle of full. That means that the circle is filled in. And we're going to have a circle of not full. The circle is not filled in. And then we're going to have, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 full, the fifth one not full. And we have our skill level, and then we should be good from here. So now I am going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. So you can add your skills. So let's go skill, highlight where it says skill name, skill bar, sorry. So from this skill bar, skill name and skill level. So remember to highlight the cursor all the way to the beginning because the white space gets copied. Press enter. I press home to go back. That's 2. And then let's do that again. So skill bar there. And then 2, home, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let me get a bird's eye view. So let me zoom out so you can see. I just have skill bar, skill name, skill level, full, 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 not full, once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And then we can update this. So I'm going to update this. I'm going to pause it and update this. All right, so I updated this with my skills. I have 4 fulls, and one not full. I did that for all of them except Python. Python, I have 3 fulls, 2 not fulls. I need to get my Python skills up. All right, now let's move down here. So go down here to where it says article, and then now let's create a pass this div because we can collapse this just to make sure we're doing it correctly, right? So here's where it closes. We press enter, and here we're gonna do our last part, which is gonna be our resume hobby. So then let's do our class again, resume item. So a lot of these things are repetitive. Resume item, zoom in, and then over here, let's do a div, open and close div, class, title, p element, that's going to be hobby, and it's going to be our class of bold, and title, resume item, and then we're going to be resume hobby. So resume underscore hobby. All right, and then below our div right here, we want to do our lists. So our list, sorry, not this one. We're going to do this one right here. So let's zoom in. So we could zoom in like that. All right, perfect. So below our hobby, we have our div. So I just added this resume hobby, our title, and that one. So below here, we want to add a UL. So inside our resume item and our resume hobby, we're going to add a UL. So it's going to be left underscore, and then we're going to add our lists. So we're going to have one. Again, I'm going to put my cursor at the front, and I am going to copy and paste one. Well, actually, before I do that, let's do our li. We're going to use, again, fave icon, font awesome. And then we're going to use the I. So we're going to do left I. Oh, mess up there. In our I, we're going to have a class of FAS, FA dash book for Facebook. We're going to close it over here. And we could copy this multiple times. So we have a li copy. So let's do copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And are we getting them? Yeah, we're getting them over here for book. So not Facebook. So I don't know exactly what this means, but this is FA book. And then we can put this one for gamepad, like to game, like to listen to music, and more reading. Oh, we can see code. Let's see if code is one. Looks like code is one. So then we could just delete this one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 actually. So I only see in 2. All right, so I forgot to put the FA here, FA dash here. So we need the FA, if not it's gonna work. Now we have 4. Okay, good. So now let's look at our HTML. Our HTML is done. Let's open up in this a new page. Let's look at the HTML. We have our HTML ready to go for our CSS. All right, so let's open up our CSS. Let's delete this JavaScript because we don't need the JavaScript. In our CSS, we start off with this HTML body that Replit gives us. We can leave that there for now. Let's do it asterisk to select all. So all elements, I want them to have a margin of 0. This is kind of like a CSS reset, so we could start with all elements the same. Padding 0, and then we want a box size in to be border box. And list style, none. So I want all my elements to have no list style. All right, so now let's move on to, but before we do, so border box tells the browser to account for any width in your element. So it will account for the width of, I'll tell the browser to account for any border and pattern in the values for border box. All right, so now let's move to our body. And our body is going to have a background color. And then we're going to do linear dash gradient. And let's do a, actually we're not going to have a background color, we're going to have an image. So we could delete this. So we do our body, left curly brace, right curly brace, and here we're going to do font size. So I want everything in my body to be font size 18 pixels to start off with. And I'm just going to copy and paste some values. So color, we do our color to be this kind of darkish gray, DB for dub. And then let's do our background image. So our background image, I am going to give you guys this also, and then you can update this later on in the theme. And then background cover. So this can cover the whole background. All right. All right, let's see how it looks so far. I'll refresh this. I got my background. You notice it's covering the whole background. All right, so let's continue with the CSS. So after our body, we're gonna do .resume, which is our main document, and we're gonna add some styles to here. So we're gonna add the width and a height. So I want a document to be width 1400 pixels and height 1200 pixels. It's important to note that this is going to be hard-coded height, so it's not going to be responsive to a mobile. We want to be mobile responsive, we can add media queries. Media queries allow this to adjust the height and size based on the width of the screen size. We can also do it other ways. We can use different methods to make our page mobile responsive. But right now, we're going to set a fixed width and a fixed height on our whole page, which is 1400 by 1200 pixels. And we can see that if we do background, actually, I'm sorry, not background. We can see that if we do border. So border, 3 pixels, solid, blue. And then let's look at, refresh this. So we see our border right here. You see the border right here, blue? This is our web page where it's going to be displayed. All right, so I'm going to delete that for now. All right, and then I am going to add a display flex. Display flex allows me to align my items. You can use that also for mobile responsiveness, but mostly for your items to be aligned and positioned easy without having to worry about any overlaps. So we do that, we do our border, and we're going to add some animation. So animation states that I want pulse, which I haven't used created yet. Animation states that I want this pulse keyframe that I haven't created yet to ease in and out every 1 second for infinite time. So I haven't created that, but I will soon. But right now I'm doing resume left. And then I'm going to do a width background. So I'm going to paste this here. I'm going to do a width of 700 pixels. My resume left is going to be 700 pixels. My height is going to be auto. I don't need this, but I just put this there explicitly. Our background is going to be black, and our padding is going to be 10 pixels. And then let's do our resume left on hover. So once we hover, our resume on the left side, like this, is going to fade out. So let's do that. So resume left hover, it states that I want the background color after it fades out to be this purplish color. I want the transition to happen in 3.5 seconds, not immediately. And I want the animation, again, to surround this resume left area. The pulse that I haven't created that keyframe yet, I will create it. So this is something I create. 1 second easing out for infinite. So every second for infinite time, I want it to ease in out. So it's going to be pulsing, pulsing, pulsing. All right, that's our resume left. And then I am going to add a resume profile. So my resume profile over here is display flex, justify content center, align item center, margin top 20 pixels. Display flex is going to allow me to, again, adjust my items within my resume profile. Center, that means that I want to center my content. So on the X and Y axis, justify content and align items on the X and Y axis. So it's going to center like this in the middle. So if you think about a box, it's going to center directly in the middle on the X and the Y. So let's go. And because if a box is too big, it might center it depending on which area, but the X and Y axis gets that centered. Margin top is going to be 20 pixels. And then let's do our resume profile image. So we have our resume profile image, and now you notice it became smaller because I said I want the width of my image to be 180 pixels, the height to be 180. I want the border radius to be 50 pixels, and the border 5 pixels to be solid. What this is doing is saying resume profile descendants. I want my descendant. So any image that's a descendant of resume profile is going to be applied these styles. And resume content. And let's go to our pattern. Our table. So now we have our table. This is our table. I say I want my table to be a width of 100%. I want the border to be collapsed because the table comes with a border, so I don't want that border. And I want the margin of my table to be 20 pixels, top and bottom, and 0 pixels left and right. And then I want my table header and my table data to have a pattern of 10 pixels, font size 22. So I'm just going to throw these other ones up here. And then I want my table header. I want my text to be aligned to the left. I want font weight of this to be bold, background color to be this pinkish color, which is this one. And I want the animation to use pulse every 3 seconds to ease in and out for infinite time. My table data, I want the border to be 1 pixel solid, this white color. And we want the border bottom to be solid and the background color. And then I'm going to throw my bold in here. So what this bold is doing is saying I want the font weight to be 700, font size to be 20 pixels. I want this text transform to be uppercase. So if I delete text transform, you notice that this student name over here is not uppercase. This student name is not uppercase because I took out that text transform. It's going to transform my letters to uppercase. My letter spacing is going to space each of these letters 2 pixels. And again with the animation neon, which I haven't created yet. And then the margin is going to be 10 pixels. And then I'm going to throw some of these in here and then we're going to go over them. So I threw in my social links. And what's happening is my social links, I'm saying I want the margin top to be 20 pixels. I want text align to be center. I want text shadow of this to be 0.05 pixels. I want my social links to be margin top and bottom 0, left and right 10 pixels. The font size 100 pixels, and then the color to be black. Alright, so now we have our social links. Margin top 20 pixels, this is our links. Text align center, right? So we can align them to the left, and that's going to move my links to the left. I put them center, it moves them center. And I have a text shadow, that's the text shadow around it. Alright, and let's do our social links A. So this is saying I want my social links to have an anchor tag, so all the descendants. So it doesn't select social links, but it looks for social links, and then it looks for the descendants of social links. Social links here, it says it's going to look for social links, the descendant, which is an anchor tag. So let's look at that in the HTML. Let's go to social links, so I could control F, social, where's our links? So where's our links? So resume title, resume skills should be in the beginning up here. Social links right here. So social links, and it's gonna find this class, and then it's gonna then look for the anchor tag. So it says all the descendants. The space says all descendants. I want to style. So all my descendants. So I have my social links class, and then all my descendants I want to style. And over here, once it is in a hover state, I want the color to change. So right now the color is black. Once it's in a hover state, so once I hover over it, it's going to change to this color. All right, so now let's do our resume download. So resume underscore download. Let's do our text align. So let's look at that over here, right? So let's look resume download right here. We're going to be doing properties for that. Text align center. So that's gonna be centered. Scroll down, that's center there. I want margin top to be 50 pixels. So from the top, I want to move down 50 pixels. I want that so much my margin. I want the font size to be 50 pixels. So I want this to be big text. So it moved down 50 pixels and the margin is 50 pixels. And then I want a text shadow on this also. So text dash shadow. And I want this shadow to be top right of 5 pixels around, and then I will put this color in here, which is kind of this pinkish color. Oh, I copied the whole thing from the other one. All right, text shadow. All right, so I'll delete this one, and now it looks like this. So now I want to do a hover state on this also, and I also want to, since it's a link, remember this is going to be downloaded on resume. I want to hover and change the color. So it's saying resume download A. I want the color, my anchor tag to be this color. And then on hover, I want to change it to black. So then the text shadow over here is going to stay pink. That's not going to change. And that's the text shadow that you see on there on that pink. And then the transition of that is going to be 0.2 easing out. And that's the transition that's happening right there. We could make this let's say slower, and let's put 1 second. And you notice the transition goes a lot slower. But let's put 0.02 so it could be pretty fast and easy on the eye. All right. So then that's doing that. So then now let's work on our container for our video. Let's open up over here and see how it's looking so far. Right, so now we have our left side. We see when we hover over this, it disappears. And our left side is basically done. We're going to have to move over to our right side now. All right, so this view seems to be better right now. So let's continue with this view. So resume, download a hover, right? We're going to hover over this and the background changes state. All right, let's work on our video container before we move on to the right hand side. So we have a class of video underscore container. Open and close curly braces. We do margin top. It's going to be 100 pixels. And then we can do text align center. Save this. All right, so let's continue working on our video container. Our video container has margin top 100 pixels, text align center. And then let's focus on our video container iframe. So we say video containers are class. Look for a class that has video container with iframe as a descendant. And then we want the border of this to be 3 pixels, solid, and let's paste this BF. So hashtag BF 5090. And I have that color around here. And that should have worked. So it's not working. Let's look at why it's not working. So video container, I'm not even going to border on here. So let's look at our HTML. And it looks like I spelled video wrong. So video. And let's see where else that was wrong. Video container, make sure this matches my CSS. Video container, video container. And it looks like there's a dash instead of an underscore. Right, so the naming is important. Here is a dash and here is a dash also. Video dash on the container instead of underscore. So I have now my border and I have my video container in here and I could press play and play some Synth music. Alright. So now we can move on to the right side CSS. So I start off with my resume underscore right. And then over here I do a width of 700 pixels because I want the right side to be fixed 700 pixels. And then I want the background color to be black, so 00. And then I want the padding to be 25 pixels, so everything inside is going to give me 25 pixel space. And then I want height to be auto. Again, font family we can say I want my font to be Arial, and then I want it to be sans serif. All right. And the next line after that, I want my position. No, actually, let's do our font size. So the font size 24 pixels. So all of this is good, 24 pixels, good. So now I might want resume item. So my resume item, so period, resume underscore item. Put in curly brace, padding. I want the top and bottom to be 20 pixels. So if you notice the space that happened over there, and the left and right to be 0 pixels. Then I want from the left, I want 30 pixels padding. I want my border dash left, so I want my border left side to be solid, to be 2 pixels, and to have this pinkish color, FF0080. That's this line right here. All right, and then I want the position to be relative. And then I'm going to add a pseudo class that says resume underscore item colon before. So this is going to add before. Before is going to say I want the content, what content I want to be added before this resume item. Well, right now I don't want anything. I want it to be a space. So, but I can have an element here. So this element has no content, but I can adjust the content. And I'm going to say display block. I'm going to say width 15 pixels. And let me scroll down. Width 15 pixels. Height 15 pixels. And I want the border radius to be 50%, so it could be round. And now let's give it a background color so we can see it. So background color, let's give it this bluish color, colon. And now you notice it shows up as circle dots. But now I want to move it in the line, so I say position absolute, which then is going to be positioned to its parent. And then 0%, left, 0%. And then I want to put a colon here. So colon, colon. And then I want to transform and translate, meaning that I want to be able to move this. So transform and translate this to the area of from negative 50% and 140%, which is going to hit it right on the money. So right on the line. Perfect. All right, and I did that adjustments already before, so that's why I know those numbers. All right, scale content. So let's do scale content, open and close. Let's do display flex. Display flex. Let's justify this content to be space around. Let's align item center. And let's do margin top. From the margin top, let's do 25 pixels. All right. And building out my right side. So then now let's go to the skill bar. Skill underscore bar. Let's do background color of this color, pinkish color. Let's do a padding of 10 pixels, and I'm going to add these other numbers. Border radius and margin bottom. All right. And then what I want to do now is I'm going to add some animation. So the animation is going to say I want to pulsate every 3 seconds in and out easily for infinite amount of time. Display flex allows me to then align these items, space in between, with 250 pixels. If you notice, if I remove this display flex, I can align the items like I want to, but I need to add more CSS right now. So I'm pushing it down. So I'm gonna create this actually skill name. So let's go skill name, open and close. Let's give it a color of hashtag FFF. For white, let's do a font size of 20 pixels. And then let's do text shadow. Text shadow of 1 pixel, 1 pixel. So top and bottom, 1 pixel. And let's do this grayish color. All right. And then let's do skill level. So skill underscore level. And we can display flex here. And then we can do align items center. Awesome. And then let's see our full. We're going to create our full. Let's do our background color of black. 1, 2, 3, 4. We could do 6. And then I'm gonna add these numbers here. So it's gonna be width 15 pixels, height 15 pixels, and border radius 50%, so it can be round. And it's not showing up, so let's see what's happening actually. Alright, and it looks like I spelled skill level wrong, so be careful with spelling. Alright, so now we have our fulls. Let's do our not full. So not underscore full. And then over here we want to, instead of doing the background color of black, so we're going to do background color of white. So we can just do hashtag or like a darkish F4, F4, like a grayish white. And then we want to do width 15 pixels. Height 15 pixels, basically the same thing. So we can do height, copy this, paste this. All right, we got that, but it looks like this is not aligning like we have it over here. So what's going on? Well, maybe we could look our HTML, and I think I know what's the problem. We're not separating this. So if I zoom out, we can see that I have my article, all in my one, so it's all one. I want to use Flexbox to align my items. So I have to separate these articles. So 1, 2, 3, and here outside of this skill bar, I'm going to close that top article, and then I'm going to create a new one, article. And then this one should close already down here. So my article should close down here. Cool. So now if I zoom back in, I can see that it's aligned evenly. And I'm going to share this code on GitHub, so you guys can have the finished code on GitHub. All right, great. So now let's move on. So let's go back to our CSS. All right, and I think we have another issue. Again, so you got to be careful when you type, which is good so we can see the problems run into. My LI over here is not closing correctly. So you want to do a left angle bracket to close this LI and then have the I in the middle that opens and closes, and then L closes there. So then that brings me back this hobby. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy code I have already, fix this, brings me back these hobbies. And then this line right here, we shouldn't have. So let's see why we're getting that. So looking at my HTML, it looks like I have an extra div close in tag over here. Delete this. That fixes some things up. And then now let's see. All right, it looks like on line number 161, I deleted this closing bracket, and it should, this closing angle tag, and it should be there. All right, good. So we have this here. Now let me move. Cool. So now we're back to not full. We're looking good. Again, if you look at my index HTML, this extra tag over here should have been there. I didn't. I deleted it. It shouldn't have not been there. So I thought it was not going to be there, but it's there. I put it back. So now in my not full, let's continue with our resume. So now I can say resume UL. So look for my resume class with the UL display flex, and then I want my justified content to be space between, and then it brings my items space in between, and then I want padding top to be 20 pixels. That gives me 20 pixels from that. So then on my resume UL LI, I want my width to be 80 pixels. I want my height to be 80 pixels, which is saying, look for my resume that has a UL with an LI class as a descendant. So this space means descendants. And now let's do a border, 2 pixels, solid. Now let's do this pinkish color because we're going to stay with the theme. Our pinkish Sif theme, that's how you say it. And then I just do a border radius to make our square circle, so 50% border radius, and then let's do position relative, and then let's do a color, and it looks like we have another issue there, so let's try to solve that issue. Let's do our color. All right. So what is? All right. So it looks like we're forgetting a resume hobby. So let me add my resume. Resume underscore hobby to be hobby, and then I'm looking for my class resume hobby with a descendant of a UL LI and the I that's coming in from my fave icons. All right. Well, actually, I'm sorry, not fave icons. Font awesome. So then we go to font size, 30 pixels. A fave icon is actually this up here, this little icons over here. Those are fave icons. So now I want my font size to be 30 pixels. I want my position to be absolute. And then I want to do top 50%. And with the top 50%, the right 50%. And then I want to transform this so we can put this in the middle like we did before. Transform, translate, and this is kind of like a hack. So we don't really center things like this anymore. We use things like Flexbox. We do things like margins or modern CSS, or we can just do libraries or CSS grid. But this is kind of a hack to transform, translate. And then now let's, all right, and then let me just add another B here. And that was the problem. So always check the spelling. So now we're almost done. Dot resume. Let's do on hover. So I want my resume right on hover. So let me make sure hover is over here. On hover, I want the background color to change to black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I want my resume right, which is this big area over here, to be transparent. So I do 50. Those 50 is going to say is going to be transparent half out of 100. So when I hover, it goes transparent. But it's being very rough. So let's add a transition state. So when it transitions, we want to not transform, transition at 3.5 s. So now it transitions very slowly, 3.5 seconds. And then I want my animation that I haven't created yet. Pulse, 1 second, ease, and let me just copy this in, ease in and out, infinite for infinite amount of time. All right, and then now let's add a line in between each of these font awesome icons. So how we do that? We do resume underscore hobby because we want to select our resume hobby, and we can look at that what we're selecting over here. So we can say resume hobby. We can find it over here, which is our hobby. And we say we want to find our ULs in our resume hobby, our LIs, and before that LI, so before each LI, I want to add contents. So which content I want to add? Well, before we added empty content over here, I want to add dashes. So let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dashes. And I get these dashes. So now I want to position those dashes. So I can say I want to colon. See those dashes is right there. I want to position this to be absolute. I want it to be from the top 30 pixels. From the top 30 pixels. And then from the right, I want it to be negative 80 pixels. So from the right, negative 80 pixels. From the top 30 pixels, negative 80 pixels. And that looks quite right a little bit. But look, we have an extra one up here because it's adding 1, 2, 3, 4 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 fave icons. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a pseudo selector. So resume hobby. This is our class. Find the UL, li, colon. Let's find the last child. And before that last child, we want to just do a display none. So it's going to find the last child, and then it's going to display none. And it should be resume hobby, UL, li, last child. And now it should be gone. So now it's gone. Perfect. All right. So now let's look at where we at right now. Right. We've come a long way. This is so far. Let's see. This is our web page so far. It's looking pretty good, right? Hover over this, disappears. Hover over this, disappears. The icons, right? The student name, everything. We just want the pulsating. Nothing is pulsating yet, so it's having a party. So let's give it a party. So we're gonna create keyframes. So keyframes is a special uh, area in CSS that allows us to do animation. And to do that, we select at keyframe. So we select at keyframes. And then the one that I created was pulse, right? I created this one throughout our app, our HTML resume, pulse. And I want to start pulsating at 0%. And then at 0%, I want to have the box shadow. So I create a box shadow. And I want it to be 0 all around. So box shadow 0 all around. And I want it to be this color, RGBA 0 to 55, 168.7. And then at 70%, I want my box shadow to then grow 10 pixels and then that RGBA color. So you notice those 10 pixels right here. So we put 0, it doesn't pulsate, but if I put 10, it's pulsating 10 pixels. So at 70% of that frame. So remember we went 3 seconds, so it goes that 1, 2, 3 seconds, 70% of that second. It pulsates. So our pulse, 1 second, ease. So was 3 seconds was our transition, but that's different. That's this transition. But the resume, the pulse at 1 second, so that 1 second you see, you notice over here is hovering. When I hover over there, you notice that green go in and out. And then at 100%, when it reaches to 100%, I want the box shadow to go back to 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So top, right, bottom, left, and then we can add our RGBA, so RG, red, green, blue, and then the transparent for 0 to 55, 168, 0. And then we're pulsating all around. Now hover over here, we're pulsating, hover over here, we're pulsating. Our pulse, we can see our pulse here, and we can see our pulse here. This one is every 3 seconds. Cool. All right, and then I am going to give you a style sheet for you to then modify this to be whatever color you want it to be. You could change the colors and everything. So it's not going to have all of this code. I mean, I'm going to give you this code, but the one that I am going to create is going to be style.css, sorry, style underscore theme.css. All right, and then this should be the same name we named in our HTML. So let's scroll up all the way to the top. Style theme CSS. Let's double check it because I've been misspelling. All right, perfect. And then I'm just gonna copy and paste this code. I already stripped everything else. So in order for you to update, you would just come to style.css, and let's say you want to change the color of your text for the body. You can come here and you can change the color of text for your body. And right, it becomes red. The resume, change the border color of the resume here. So this is the border color, the one that's pulsating. We could change maybe to orange, right? And it's going orange. Resume left, background color, we want to make it white, clear, white, it's white. We want to make it clear, we can add 00 to the end, and then it's transparent, right? And then you can also change the background image over here. Just go into your index.html, come down to, we could change your resume profile first, actually, and you could change your resume profile over here with this source. You want to change your picture there. To change the background, so you want to change it from here. So this URL over here changes the background. So let's move this, let's make this smaller a little bit so we can see it. If I delete this, you notice my background is going to disappear. And this is my background. So this is, so you could come over here and you can modify all of these colors. So you notice all of these styles is just all colors. And I have changed the skills names color here, so you could change the skill names color here, and then it changes the color. So you can then do your own theme to it without being a risk of actually messing up the whole layout. All right, so that was a lot. Thank you. Hopefully this works out for you. I know I made some mistakes along the way, and I was able to correct them. You're probably going to make some mistakes too, because this is actually a lot of typing. So don't just copy and paste all of it. Try to understand what you're doing, in order for you to find those mistakes that you made and be able to go and correct them pretty quickly. But at the end, you should have a pretty cool HTML, CSS. Let's change this up there, which is kind of a synth 80s retro style, however you may call it. All right, thank you.